Let the Minister of State pass this way, please. Step down, step down. Minister of State.
Governments, but between the peoples of both countries. It is only through these gestures that we will be in a position to unlock existing bottlenecks between our two countries. Foreign nationals in South Africa have always been integrated within society. We have a lot of foreigners who have chosen South Africa as their home. We have a lot of foreigners who have chosen South Africa as a place where they conduct conferences, where they work, and where they conduct many other activities. It is therefore quite very unfortunate that we find ourselves in a situation that we found ourselves in now. The government has issued a statement yesterday condemning the acts of violence and acts of criminality. For us, these are acts that continue to demonstrate that there are criminals within society that seek to destabilize the country. There are criminals who seek to create an impression that South Africans do not subscribe to the principle of Ubuntu. You are because I am. I cannot begin to talk about the history between South Africa and Nigeria, and indeed over the past 25 years or so we have been through a number of challenges, and what has always come to our rescue is this strong bond of friendship and kinship between the two governments of South Africa and Nigeria. So our government condemns by all means acts of violence against any individual. The Constitution of South Africa says that South Africa belongs to all those who live in it, regardless of race, creed, gender, and so on. So this new phenomenon that suggests that there are criminal elements within society that seek to create retrogression in the advancement that we have made in the relations between South Africa and Nigeria is something that is quite regrettable and quite very unfortunate. You may be aware that the South African police services have already arrested 70 individuals, both in Johannesburg and Pretoria CBD. These are individuals who have been found to be on the wrong side of the law. These are people who were found to be looting and burning properties. Last night I was listening to a statement by the Minister of Police. He has also made an observation that there are certain South African establishments that were also banned. Shoprite and Spar are those two establishments that he had made an observation on. So this is a very clear indication that this is just rampant, this is sporadic, quite very senseless, especially for this to be happening, and it's a complete disregard for the law. But we are happy that the South African Police Services has been working around the clock. The Minister of Police has been on the ground visiting all the affected areas to verify facts on the ground. We all know that the situation is developing. It is very difficult at this stage to be definitive about what has been happening, but as and when new leads and information arises, we shall endeavor to make sure that this information is brought to the attention of the media as well as other relevant stakeholders. We have had fantastic discussions with the Minister in the past few minutes. A number of propositions have been placed on the table, amongst which is the early warning mechanism, an agreement which has been proposed between the two countries. And from now henceforth, we are going to be conveying the message of the Nigerian government to our government to ensure that we find logical conclusion to this proposal, which we believe could be a very good utility should we find ourselves in such a situation again. And another proposal that the minister has touched on is to make sure that we make a recommendation to have the member of Nigerian police force attaches based in the Nigerian High Commission in Pretoria, or perhaps its consulate in Johannesburg. This will create very good synergy between the South African police services as well as the Nigerian police force. And these are some of the initiatives that we are looking at making use of, so that we find logical conclusion to what is happening in South Africa. We have also taken the liberty of this meeting to brief the minister on what the South African High Commission and its government have been doing in order to try and find a lasting solution to these challenges that we are facing. In the past few weeks or months, you may be aware that we have been meeting members of various student organizations following threats against South African businesses here in Nigeria. A number of propositions have been made on how we can resolve the matter, amongst which is to make sure that we take a number of Nigerian students and media to South Africa to go and interact with their fellow Nigerians, be it Nigerians in the arts, be it Nigerians in engineering, be it Nigerians in business or any other area. It is important that we do that, but most importantly, to make sure that we bring together the student leaders or youth of Nigeria and those of South Africa, so that they can learn from each other and appreciate the history that we share between the two countries. It is only through such initiatives that we can be sure that the legacy that has been left for us by those who came before us can last for posterity. So this is what we have committed ourselves to do. I have had a number of meetings with our Minister of International Relations and Cooperation, Honorable Dr. Naledi Pandor. She has given blessings to this initiative, and in fact she has also indicated that she herself will not send anybody to Nigeria. She will visit Nigeria herself to come and meet with her counterparts. So these are the milestones that we have recorded in the past, and we are hoping that all the efforts that we are making we will actually yield very positive results. Tomorrow we are meeting a number of student leaders at the South African High Commission to deliberate on this very matter, because we believe that it's an ongoing matter that requires our energy, our attention, and so on. And we are fully behind the student leaders of Nigeria in their own propositions that they are making. So we believe that we are on the right track, and working together with the Nigerian government, we believe that we will finally find solutions to the challenges that we are currently facing. Our relationship is quite stronger than the challenges that we face. We have always risen to the occasion, and we see no reason as the South African government why we cannot rise to the occasion right now. Thank you.
You want to address this,
very important aspect. You know, during periods such as these, you find various elements within society who make use of the social media platform to further fuel tensions amongst different communities. So in the past few days, when these developments were unfolding in South Africa, we were quite concerned about the number of voice clips and videos and messages that we have seen on social media. Others are as old as 2008. We have seen them before, and we continue to see them now. Now, when you begin to see videos and listen to voice clips such as those during this very sensitive period, you will be forgiven to believe that what is actually circulating is a true reflection of what is happening in South Africa. Our government cautioned yesterday in the statement that we must also be very wary such tendencies on social media, and on our part as the government, they have undertaken that anybody who is found to be circulating false material that seeks to destroy rather than build relations amongst different communities, action will be taken to such perpetrators. So as members of media, I'm also appealing to you that we should also be cautious of this information that circulates, because we are here to try and put our heads together to find solutions to the challenges that we face, and yet we should understand that on the other hand there are certain elements whose interest is to make sure that we do not find solutions to these challenges. So social media is something that we should watch. Let's verify the sources of the information that we receive. We as the South African High Commission remain available at any given point in time to have interviews with yourselves. Should you feel that there are certain articles that you want to publish, we are available to provide clarity and give you information as it unfolds on the ground, because we are better positioned as a South African High Commission to receive credible information from South Africa that we can share with you. So we recommit ourselves to working with you as members of media if you need any further information from us. But social media is something that we should watch quite very closely. In fact, if anything, I believe that social media must be used to build and send messages of hope, messages of solidarity, messages that begin to inspire all of us to work together towards a common goal. Nigeria and South Africa are two very powerful economies in the continent, and these are the countries that all the African countries look upon. So it is very important that we begin to walk the floor, fold our sleeves, and make sure that we become quite very exemplary. We today want to reaffirm our commitment as the South African government to the bilateral relations between Nigeria and South Africa. And once more, Minister, we express our sincere thanks and gratitude for having given us this opportunity to meet with you. We shall pass on the messages that you have shared with us to our principals as soon as today, and we shall keep you abreast about the outcomes. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
How are you? I seem to be very stuck with Moyo during media statements. Moyo, when you, I was trying to explain this to the minister, when we look at the pattern of these attacks, you realize that people who find themselves in the middle of the crossfire are not only foreign nationals. And I stated earlier on that last night Minister Begikele of Police indicated that some of the business establishments that were banned were actually ShopRite and Spar. And we believe that amongst the 70 people who have been arrested, it's a multiplicity of nationalities there. And the situation is still unfolding. It's still quite fresh. We do not have a lot of facts on the table to substantiate on many claims that have been made. But I can say without any shadow of doubt that what we are witnessing, or what is unfolding now in South Africa, are sporadic acts of violence, are sporadic acts of criminality. These are individuals who are taking advantage of the situation that we find ourselves in, and we condemn that. So Moyo, these are not to the best of our knowledge acts of xenophobia. Thank you.
My name is Victoria.
But I'm sure sometime you will see yourself in Pretoria. In the past month or so, we have had a similar press briefing with Ms. Dabiri Erewa, where we had taken the liberty to provide feedback or give progress report on what the South African law enforcement agencies have done in trying to bring those who have been perpetrators to book. A certain number of statistics was given, and I also made reference to about 6 policemen, I speak under correction, 6 or 8 policemen who were arrested in Ekurhuleni, whose video of an attack of a Nigerian national was circulated. So they were arrested, and I want to believe that action was taken. Now, extrajudicial killings in South Africa are condemned. The law enforcement South Africa's judicial system sees no color, sees no position, sees no creed, sees no gender. So regardless of who you are, if you are found to be involved in perpetrating the law, you are brought to book. So we have seen a number of cases where police were alleged to have been involved, and they have been arrested. And I think this development now in South Africa, should it be found that there are law enforcement agency members who have been involved, similar action will be taken against them, because they do not have immunity from the law. It's even a call by Minister Cele that should police officers be found on the wrong side of the law, they will be equally arrested. And we assure you that the very same posture will continue in South Africa. Thank you. Because it's part of the early warning system. It's article number 7 of the early warning mechanism that I made reference to. As I have indicated, this is something that the relevant authorities in South Africa will look at and consider. Of course, compensation has to do with financial resources. The relations between the two governments are at a stage where issues such as these can always be looked at. And I see no reason why this engagement must not ensue between the two countries. We have already indicated that the propositions that have been placed before us today by the Minister, including this one, will be presented to our government, particularly Article 7 of this mechanism. And I'm sure ways and means of trying to find each other together with the government of Nigeria will definitely materialize. And we are going to make use of our very strong relationship to make sure that we find a solution and we find each other on this one. So it's a matter that our government will look at, and I'm hoping that it will be receiving favorable attention. You know, each and every government department in South Africa conducts what we call public participation programs. It means taking government to the people. These are public participation programs conducted by ministers, and each one of them have context. So the Minister of Police, Mr. Begi Cele, from time to time delivers press briefings and goes to communities, whether communities that are affected or not, and bring into their attention the importance of ensuring that we create social cohesion. But you know, when you deal with criminal elements within society, it becomes quite very difficult for messages such as these to come across. But in as far as government is concerned, we do everything in our power to make sure that we conscientize our people that we are a very integral part of the continent, and it is in our best interest that we create cohesion with many other African countries. In my preamble, when I started, I indicated that South Africa is a product of the continent. The past 25 years has been made possible by many other countries, including Nigeria. So it cannot be that after 25 years we find ourselves in a situation where we do not want to continue the integration process. But you'll find certain criminal elements within society who are hell-bent on being retrogressive and intransigent. But our government has done everything in its power, and we continue to make sure that we spread the good word of social integration and so on. And the foreign nationals in South Africa have always been there. I mean, it's not a new phenomenon to have foreign nationals. Some of us have been taught at university by professors from the length and breadth of the continent. So yes, the government is doing something to make sure that we speak to the people, to understand and appreciate that we are an integral part of the continent. Thank you.
In South Africa, and of course this is something we have seen in the past, and as a result of some of these incidents in the past, I undertook at the time with the then Honorable Minister of Interior, a trip to South Africa, where we met senior members of the South African government. We proposed then that we should have an early warning system, mechanism, which essentially would see regular meetings between high-level members of the South African government and the Nigerian High Commission and Consulate General and Nigerian Union of South Africa on the other side, meeting regularly, informing each other of developments regularly, anticipating events, and essentially being prepared to preempt such attacks as we're witnessing today, and taking other measures including compensation and so forth. But essentially having the two working as a team. Now, unfortunately, the memorandum of understanding that we prepared to capture this has not been signed. And the disadvantage with that, of course, is that there's no framework now for the relevant parties to meet now and address this ongoing situation. Now, we feel, the Nigerian government, that very definitive measures have to be taken to stop once and for all these acts of aggression and criminality against Nigerians in South Africa. And I invited the head of mission of South Africa today, and we had lengthy discussions. The South African government has issued a statement, and the head of mission will himself give you information on that. Arrests have been made, but for us, Nigerian government, we are determined that we should not have any recurrence of this going forward. So we have to put in place, we must put in place, and we will put in place mechanisms to ensure that these do not recur. We've made very concrete proposals to the South African government today, and we believe that if those measures are implemented, we have a very, very good chance of ensuring that this does not recur. In the first place, we have to address the issue of compensation. There has to be accountability and there has to be responsibility for compensating all those Nigerians that have suffered loss. And we are going to absolutely push for that. And secondly, we believe that, but I will not go into that much detail on that, but that the two security forces, South African and Nigerian, we can have an arrangement where there will be cooperation on the ground in South Africa to arrest such events and occurrences. And this is obviously something that we have to work out details with the South African government, and hopefully see us addressing at the field level, if I can call it that, the challenges posed by these incessant attacks. And so we have put that forward to the South African government, very, very clear proposals, and we will be discussing those, and hopefully the South African government will support us in that initiative, as we believe that it will make all the difference. So that's what I would like to start with before taking questions from you. I will now hand over the microphone to the end about immediate concern is to have in place a robust mechanism that will preempt these attacks, and if they break out, that will react very, very quickly to put them down, and that will also be providing adequate oversight over the security of vulnerable groups such as Nigerians in South Africa. So this is why we feel that as a first step, we send, if the South African government agrees with us, some Nigerian police embedded attached to the Nigerian High Commission in Pretoria. And if, again, the South African government is agreeable, that we might even have some Nigerian police embedded within the South African police force to deal with matters concerning Nigerians in South Africa. So Nigerian criminality as well as South African criminality targeting Nigerians. We believe that the advantage of this would be that the law enforcement, the police itself, would have the benefit of Nigerian input in their engagement with the Nigerian community and with threats against the Nigerian community. And we believe that this will be a game changer. This will be a game changer. It will give confidence to the Nigerian community and in South Africa, and it will also give an added input, really, to the South African police, because of course, the Nigerian police will understand Nigerians better and will probably be in a position to provide certain intelligence that might not be available to the South African police. So we believe that it will be a very important synergy in achieving the aims that we want to achieve. So we believe that if the two sides, South African government and Nigerian government, are really working together, really want to address this issue and take those particular steps, that it will be much more difficult, to have the scale of damage that we have witnessed in the past. And then, of course, to more directly answer your question, if after that there are now still attacks, then of course we'll now have to reassess the measures that we've taken and see where they need to be improved or otherwise. But I would like to say that, and I've said it in the past, the South African government has really given us every assurance that they are doing everything they can to address this situation, and we certainly hope that going forward now, with some concrete measures in place, we will begin to see the end of this kind of mindless violence. Thank you. that my bio or your bio?
It is.
Okay, well, thanks a lot, brother. That was
Thank
very
you.
good.
Thank you very much.
Sun ba za ka bari da lokaci da kai take su za ka ji abin da